Julie Events, and we have our buddy Jerry.
Yay,
Hey,
our first
Jerry.
guest.
Hello. Hey, I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. And before we proceed, I just want to tell everybody I've been keeping up with you guys, Women, Worth, and Weddings. Highly informative, highly entertaining. And it's a pleasure to be here and have a conversation with you guys today.
Yeah,
Glad to be
absolutely.
here.
We're excited to have you, our very first guest. So we're thrilled.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
We of course have to start off with what we're drinking today.
Yes.
All right, so this is a recommendation from the Ivory Bar, an actual venue today instead of a bartender. She sent us something that's very fall, kind of kicking off our fall season this past weekend.
That's
Let's
right.
celebrate with this. It's a apple cider margarita.
It is very, very fall. Is it sugar on the? What is it? How's it made?
It's got like gold tequila, the Grand. How do you pronounce that?
Marnier?
Marnier.
Yeah. What she
Apple
said.
cider, apple slice, cinnamon stick, but the ice melted, so it tastes kind of watered down, but still good.
It is good. Just need a straw.
Yeah.
I like to take my drinks to the head.
This is a judgment-free zone.
Oh man.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to ask you a series of questions.
Sure.
I think it's interesting. So I think it's interesting that you're here because I believe that like the entertainment side, like bands, things like that, even like DJs, they get to see the foolishness and nonsense that we get to see, but they also get to kind of run the show in the sense of making sure that everything is in flow. So we have some questions for you that we're going to ask.
Yeah.
We're going to get a little behind the scenes with you. But first, Julia's going to start us off and just want to know a little bit about you.
Oh, I'm born and raised in Sherrall, South Carolina, which is only about 30 minutes or so from where we are. Born and raised there. Played music all my life that I can remember. According to my mom, like as early as 2-3 years old, started out playing on drums, drum sets and things. I was raised in like church, so church gives you a lot of opportunity when you have a skill set, whether it be music or you do praise dance or whatever, you write poetry, you get a lot of opportunities at an early age. But so I transitioned from playing drums and whatnot into playing keyboard instruments, piano. We had a piano in our house growing up. And once I started tinkering with the piano, that really, I put the drums to the side.
Yeah.
And it remained a passion of mine growing up. Sometimes I viewed it more as work because my dad being a preacher, I was kind of obligated to play. And being a youngster, sometimes you don't always feel like playing when called upon.
Yeah.
But as I went to college and met other people that did music, had an opportunity to record music, do talent shows, things like that. Upon getting out of college, I'm like, I have the skill set and this is something I would really like to do as a career. So opportunities just kept coming, working with different artists, doing music production, doing live shows. Shout out to Nicole Wells, but I did an album for her in 2004. And once it was done and out on the market, she needed to do some shows. So once, of course, quite naturally, if I produced the music and I can play, she hired me to be the musical director for her. And she was the first person that gave me the insight or, I could see like, okay, you can actually perform music and make some money. And so from there, I just, finally got to a point where I'm like, I want to do this full-time, transition into being a full-time musician around 2008 and really haven't looked back since.
Nice.
And that consists of a couple of bands. I'm co-founder of a band by the name of Mellow Groove. I'm also the musical director for the chairman of the board. If you guys at home not familiar with the chairman of the board, you may have heard the song Carolina Girls, Give Me Just a Little More Time. And so on and so forth. So
you're famous.
that's famous. I go by the name of Midas. But people say that. But what's so surreal to me is because I used to listen to their music on the radio as a child growing up. They've been in existence since the 70s. Shout out to Ken Knox. He's the last remaining original member of that outfit, but it's still in motion. So sometimes I have to pinch myself. But I'll let you tell it. If you say I'm famous,
I'm saying I think you're. And just side note, if you ever need someone on a tambourine, I'm your girl.
Okay.
I've been dying.
Yeah.
It's like
triangle.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear this?
I grew up in a Pentecostal holiness church.
Oh, so you already know
I
what
can
time
get, I can
music.
get like,
I can play the piano.
I can play the piano.
Oh,
Yeah.
you play piano as well? Okay, she's been
Yeah.
hiding that from us. I
It's a
didn't know
little
that.
secret talent I have.
Yeah. But so the thing you said just now is growing up in a Pentecostal church. So you already can identify musically what I'm referring to, and the music is a huge part of the service in a Pentecostal church. People show expression when they feel the music and things like that. So
Absolutely.
we have to get you on tambourine and triangle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on that. Yeah. So all of that culminates. I'm also the minister of music at Mount Dewell Baptist Church in McConnell, South Carolina. So between those three things, and sadly and unfortunately, you get called to play funerals, things like that, weddings, also not just playing wedding ceremonies, but wedding receptions, as far as being in a band situation. Of course, with DJ Famous, I have the capacity to MC with him sometimes. So all of that stuff works together.
I love it. I think it's great. Well, let's get a little nitty gritty. Let's get some dirt.
That's not much dirt. I don't know. I mean, so I wanted to say, because I've listened to you guys' show, and the stories you guys have are incredible. Of course, being wedding planners, and me just being a meek and lowly musician, my stories are not gonna top you guys. But go ahead, ask away. What's some dirt?
Here's a random one. Do you remember your first wedding, band or MC?
If I'm not mistaken, and this is what comes to mind, and I hope I'm not telling a fib, but I remember playing one of my best friend's weddings from high school. I was fresh out of college. We were fresh out of high school. I was in college, but he had booked me to come back. I think I was still 17 years old at the time. That's like the earliest wedding that I remember. But I hope I'm not skipping over anything else. But playing so much music at a young age, some of it is a blur. But that's the one that I kind of remember as one of my first weddings. And we still speak to this day. We got a group chat. Two of my buddies, Dwayne and Boyd, from back home in Sherrall, South Carolina.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I played this wedding. That was my first one. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first one emceeing?
Famous, you might have to help me out with the first wedding I emceed. And I've done stuff even outside of that. Wow. I may say it was my cousin. I emceed my cousin's wedding, So, and the thing about like family and friends, you kind of the go-to for all of the musical, and as it should be. Why don't go beyond me when I'm right here, So and MC and I think, and just to I guess give a little backstory behind how I guess got into MC. My dad not only is a preacher, but he still has his radio program in Sherrall, South Carolina to this day. So growing up, he was always on the radio, and he made sure that my sister, my brother, and I, at some point, we came to the radio station on Sunday mornings. He put us on the microphone. He started us out by just like maybe reading the weather or answering the phone or something like this. But then, and I don't even know if he knew what he was doing to us or doing for us, but gradually you get a larger role and you start talking on the microphone. And so even early on, I'm seeing that come to fruition later. Yeah. So I think I was able to build that skill set. And I've never really been afraid of the microphone. You know how some people are afraid of the microphone?
Yeah, it definitely takes a certain personality, because if someone handed me a microphone, I would be handing it off. I'm like,
yeah. It's
no,
like,
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you like the microphone.
I'm like, give me that mic. I got announcements I need to make.
Yeah. And, I tell you, so just as far as a funny story, it was at the one I did with you guys when I was working with Famous, when the guy was about to do the toast.
Oh.
Right, you remember that? Mm-hmm. So he's getting ready. I stayed at the DJ console, control booth area, and so Famous was walking the room, and he's talking to the guy about doing the toast, and so he hands the guy the microphone, and the first thing the guy did, and I told this on No Shortcuts too, he didn't talk, he coughed right into the microphone. And immediately I'm like, man, I hope we have some Clorox wipes or something.
Oh, no.
And nowadays, first of all, you should never just grab a microphone and cough into it. But nowadays, there's so much going on. I thought it was highly, highly rude, and but people don't know.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of overlook.
Well, what if he had a nervous tick and you're over here judging him?
Well, his nervous tick. Well, I'm hoping he didn't have a nervous tick.
I'm just kidding.
But if so, we, God bless, but still, buddy, don't. If you see this, don't cough into the microphone.
Yeah.
Just as you're taught, just into your arm or something like that.
If there's one thing weddings have taught us, there's no common sense. There's no assuming. There is no, you just have to expect people to just
and I don't know if it's because people, are getting slightly inebriated that day, but I agree with what you said. It's like a lot of times, especially the day of, a lot of common sense goes out the window. Yeah. And I'm sure you guys see it way more.
You don't even get surprised anymore.
No.
Nothing shocks
us. And I think that's the approach you have to have. Just expect the unexpected. Because
I'm just yep, that happened.
Yeah, you can't make it up.
Every once in a while, somebody will do something, and I'm like, did that just happen right now?
It happened.
And I usually see it when I'm by myself and there's no one to make eye contact with.
That's the time it happens.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, but the common sense seems to escape people sometimes on that particular day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's your ideal band gig?
Ideal band gig would be plenty of food in the green room, perhaps some green M&Ms as well. Right? You gotta have the green M&Ms. Some place where the climate is conducive. So if it's summertime, the green room is air conditioned. If it's wintertime, the green room is warm. Perhaps I'm still on the green room thing. I haven't even got to play in the gig yet. And if there's a lot of downtime, perhaps there's a television or something, some games or whatever available. But definitely food, comfortable conditions, maybe a few couches or what have you. And also just on the performance side, where of course you got to do your sound check and everything. So that's ideal to have a good sound check. To make a nice little, sum of money is ideal. And also, for the audience or whoever booked, to feel confident and feel happy in the performance that we gave. Yeah. I think that pretty much is. It's really simple.
Well, you just opened me up to a whole thing, so
Let's
I'm about to go. Okay, so when you're doing so we're gonna go to weddings.
Sure.
So when you're doing a wedding, so we've
Am I playing a ceremony as just a musician or band reception?
Both. You're doing the whole thing.
Okay.
So I call you to book you. Mm-hmm. So what is it? You understand, right? At weddings, you're probably never gonna have a green room, right?
Oh, well, yeah, maybe not, but at least say maybe I come and set up at least maybe a place to change and relax. But that's normally, and we understand
I'll
based
give you
on.
my car.
Your car?
I have some snacks in my car.
Yeah. Hey, I can eat some Cheez-Its.
We always try our best. Some venues don't even have anywhere for us to put our stuff.
Yeah, so it's all based on the venue. Now, like you said, ideal versus what's realistic. So even I'll even say this, and then we get back to what you said. We played Summerfest last year. They didn't even have a dressing room for us. Our dressing room was with the where the common public under a tent was cooling off with a rigged air conditioner. Mm-hmm. But that was booked by an actual booking agency, so that was disappointing. Also, you're outside. And it's why is there no water? There's no water here. Yeah. We're playing in the heat. So you want to have water, especially if you're playing outdoors, things like that. But there is a difference between ideal and what's realistic based on the venue. So if there's no green room available, we understand. We've been in those conditions before. Yeah.
We just find I find it funny. Yeah. Not funny, haha, but funny. I don't know what you're saying to me. When we've had bands demand a green room.
Oh yeah.
At a wedding, and I'm like, this is a venue. We're outside. I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
And but knowing the expectations up front, right? Just kind of laying it out.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bands have rules. Some bands require a stage to hide all the chords and everything. Some venues don't allow a stage. So you have to know so many details before hiring.
Yeah, and that's to me that's where the communication comes into play as far as whoever's contacting me. I have enough wherewithal to, if it's not told to me, I can ask certain things, and then you're usually communicating way ahead of time anyway, so that gives you enough time to know what you're getting into and what to expect, and then if I need to make any adjustments for myself.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hop into, since we're talking about stories, so let's hop into some other funny stories. So I know Julia has a funny wedding story, and I have a true to life saga that I'm going to share that just happened with us.
Great. I love these stories.
I'm going to leave names and locations out to protect the innocent, but we will go. But so Julia, what's your we have first let's give a shout out to the website that we get these funny stories from. Mm-hmm. It is called what? Oh.
We both were like, oh.
Yeah. This is the part of the show
right here
that I enjoy. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to the Women Worth in Weddings podcast.
NotAlwaysRight.com.
Not always right. Yes.
Okay.
So love you.
I spent like 2 hours reading stories, and my problem is I just need to pick one and move with it because there's so many stories. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on to the next one. And I'm like, I'm trying to like hand pick like a perfect one, and there's just like it's all just craziness.
Yeah.
I found one that was just stupid that made me like giggle because it's so realistic. This dad was supposed to do a speech, and he got up there, he had a mic in his hand, and he could not remember the bride's name. So he's sitting there like mumbling names, but the mic was on, and so it sounded to everyone else like he was just listening through like the girls, past girlfriends and stuff. Like he was just sitting there, just like mumbling all these names, and everyone was just like what is going on?
My
gosh. So cringy, and I can just see that happening to us.
Yeah.
It's realistic.
That is very realistic. No one helped him? I mean, get the guy out of
cut the mic or something.
Yeah. You're like, oh gosh. Well, our story, and this was a Julia and Amy story that happened to us recently and this is good because it kind of ties in, drinking and all the things that kind of happen at weddings. So there was a series of events, and I won't go into too many details because it was a long day. I'm still not over it completely. But there was things that happened that pushed the wedding back an hour.
Oh, wow.
So people were drinking before they should have. They came to the venue with alcohol. But then what happened was that the service that we used for bartending wasn't really cutting people off. And so by the end of the night, it had turned into a complete and utter shit show.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone was way too drunk.
Way too drunk, blackout drunk, in my face, mad at me because I had to shut the bar down and shut the reception down. So it was real bad. And so lessons that we learned was, one, we are requiring, moving on, if you're working with us and you're a bartender, you have to sign an agreement with us saying that if we have to do alcohol consumption monitoring, then you have to go cut the bar off and tell the couple that you're cutting it off. Because if it gets to a point where we're like, oh my Lord, things are going crazy, then...
Because you have 160 blacked out people, there's no way that's going to run smoothly. Like, you can't...
Because it wasn't like 50 people where it's like, it was 160 people and it became a house party. A house party that there were no rules and people were like, just passing out on benches, like fighting. There was fights
at the wedding.
Wow! And I'm
what were they serving? Hard liquor?
Well, yeah, there was. yeah.
Beer and wine, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Some venues don't allow liquor because things just get out of control.
Yeah.
And I like the idea when venues let you use liquor to have off-duty officers because that makes us feel better. It may make the guests feel a little bit more uncomfortable, but.
For me, it made me feel
if you were trying to do something bad.
And the venue was amazing. They have retired officers and firefighters and everything that are there, and so there's like usually 3 or 4 of them, and they were like right there with us, like pushing people out of our face, like go ahead and take a walk type of thing.
Yeah, it was definitely very aggressive.
It was very aggressive. So
this happened recently.
Yes.
Wow.
So here's the thing: if you're gonna have a bar, understand that. The bartenders need to understand that you're there to monitor the alcohol consumption, make sure that people aren't being overserved. And 2, I mean, like your guests have to I don't know. I mean, how do you get etiquette for guests? I mean, is there like a course for wedding etiquette for guests? Let's make that.
I just think it was one of those things where they didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't care. They were adults. It wasn't like a college group.
Yeah. And
you've had like college groups. You've seen how crazy it gets. Yeah. No, they were all like in their 30s. And so
and 40s and 60s.
And you guys just said on that particular day, all common sense
fell off.
goes out the window.
Like, I'm talking so bad that people were just like walking with trash and just like throw it in the grass.
Really?
Yeah.
And these are adults.
Yeah.
These are adults.
It was
It's
definitely
disappointing.
very upsetting.
Yeah.
For all vendors.
So that's a horror story that and there's things as wedding vendors that we experience that changes contracts, and that was definitely one of those moments where we're like going back to the drawing board on this. So anyway, so that was a funny, cringy story and a horror story. So you have those two things from us. You're welcome.
Yeah. And may I just interject, ladies and gentlemen, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And don't just go to a wedding and lose all of your home training. You know, if you would, have etiquette, know how to cut yourself off.
Yeah.
That's what part of being an adult is.
Yeah.
Just know how, okay, I've had a little bit too much. I think I'm a reel it in, and never drink to the point where you're just this total different person.
Yeah.
It was people that were looking at you in the face, and you're like, you're not even seeing me right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And they weren't being cut off by staff. Wow.
It's so sad because the actual couple and their immediate family were like the sweetest people. Like so easygoing,
respectful, so awesome.
so sweet. It's just the group itself, the guests that got invited, just
lost their mind.
Yeah.
So what's next on the agenda?
Must do better.
Julia.
Well, is there any other stories? And now you're like, I don't have any crazy stories.
Not really. The only like little hiccups I ever may have do, like for instance, this past Saturday, a wedding I played. It's always dealing with like the music. You may be told. In this case, I'll use specific. I won't use any names to protect the innocent, like you guys. But so I was given the list of songs maybe like 2 to 3 weeks prior to. So it looks like I'm just gonna be playing 2 special selections. Now I'm asking. I see there's a third song they're talking about. When I keep asking, are you guys expecting me to play this song for this vocalist as well, or am I just playing these other 2 songs? So I talked to the groom, and his mother got, he wanted me, but his mother got in contact with me. So I talked to him. He said, well, ask my mom. So I asked her, and I'm asking, it's like, no, just those 2 songs. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now, I had a gig. The wedding rehearsal was on Friday night before Saturday, but I had a wedding reception to play already. So I didn't make the wedding rehearsal. So I practiced with the other vocalist last Wednesday before the rehearsal, which was Friday. So going into Saturday, I'm just thinking I'm playing these 2 songs. So the guy who's singing the third song, he gets there. And what I also did, because I couldn't make the rehearsal Friday night, I said I'll come at noon on Saturday. The wedding didn't start till 2:30. But for anybody who wants to run over their song with me, I'll come at noon. Yeah. So the guy who's singing the third song, I'm assuming he had a track he was going to sing with, when they just load up the instrumental and you sing it. So he's there, and so he's like, I don't have a track. I thought you would play for me. And I know the guy. It's a small world. But luckily, and God, I guess, was on my side, because it was a Luther Vandross song I had just played 2 weeks ago when I did the Visual Light Theater show. It was a Luther Vandross tribute. So it was one of those songs. And so I wasn't like I was just having to learn it. Yeah. And then when I'm learning songs, if I don't know it, I have to like load the song up, get my keyboard out, and figure the song out. I play by ear, so it's not no sheet music. Okay, we're gonna have to do it. Yeah. We have to have a jam session. Yeah. So so it worked out, but I was told the whole time they're just gonna play these 2 songs and that's that. But then once I get in front of everybody, I got to play this third song. Yeah. But I was there early enough where we were able to run through it, get comfortable with each other and everything. And also, by me arriving early, I was able to work with the groom. He was singing a song as the bride came in.
Oh, gosh.
But the original key of the song was too high for him. He couldn't hit a certain part. So I was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring it down a couple of half steps so your range can get to that point. And the song won't lose its feel. Instead of you singing here, and then when you're supposed to go up, you're coming down on your tone just to hit the note, but the song lost the feeling of it. Yeah. So and that's one thing I try to do. So just knowing I couldn't be at the rehearsal, but I'll come early.
Do you like to be at the rehearsal? I mean,
if I can, but my schedule usually doesn't allow me to. And the crazy thing is, the gig I played the night before was in Lancaster, and the wedding I played Saturday was in Lancaster. So I was checking on sound check time and seeing like I might be able to make rehearsal, but once I saw what time our sound check was versus the time the wedding rehearsal was, I knew I can't make it. But I would like to be there because that gives everybody a chance to get the feel of what's going on. Like when you have the bridal party entering, and it get just with the timing and stuff like that.
Maybe we'll start to be a little more easygoing on that, because usually we're like the DJ or the music don't come or whatever, but I can see how when they do come, well, it depends on the person, because sometimes sweet baby musicians take over, and then we have an hour. That's it. That's what the venues give us for rehearsal, and then it becomes this whole thing.
Yeah. They take over how? Like as far as
take over is like
they're talking over us. And
no. You always, as a musician, you always got, and anything, you got to know your position, what you're hired to do. Yeah. I never go if anything, I'm just gonna consult with the wedding planner, and the vocalist, because that's who I'm working with. But me trying to tell other people what to do and like we're gonna do this and do that, that's kind of out of order.
Yeah, So I'll put some thoughts.
What's your ideal time to have all the songs you guys learn before the wedding? In advance, how does that work? I've always wondered.
For a musician,
set of songs, or do they?
No, so I let typically whoever's hiring me, whether it's the bride and groom or somebody's getting in contact, I find out what songs they want played, and usually if it's prelude or whatever, I play a range of stuff from as prelude. It's just nice soft stuff while people are coming in, sitting down or whatever. But all of the special stuff as far as bridal party, bridal interest, which nobody really uses the traditional "Here Comes the Bride" or that traditional recessional. They don't use that. Did I do it right, Favors? but so give me the songs. I've been playing music so much and in so many capacities, I can learn songs fairly quick. But I figure a reasonable amount of time with just like a couple of months, maybe a month on the slim side.
So not the day before.
No, definitely not. Especially if you have to learn it, because there's there's a process of when you have to learn music, and especially if it's not music you play all the time. Yeah. So I have to dissect it. So I gotta pull up YouTube or whatever. Yeah. And mind you, back in the day there was no YouTube. You had to hand me a CD or a tape or something. A reference. Yeah, maybe an 8-track. I haven't been playing that long.
I was like oh man, I haven't seen a tape in a long time.
Yeah. But so as musicians, it's very convenient now. You have everything at your disposal as far as to listen and learn the music. But it's a process. You get your instrument out. You have to play along with it. Lots of rewinding. Lots of maybe focusing on a certain area just to get that right. And then as you're learning it, you're also committing it to memory. But what I do is I'm like, okay, the intro is like this, which usually mirrors either the verse or the chorus pattern anyway. So intro, okay, what's after the intro? Is it a verse? Which usually...
Isn't it hard though, because you play by ear, to not kind of freestyle it a little bit?
I put my own flavor. Once I get the basics of the structure of the song, I add my own
I'm like, you get the tune.
Nuances.
You get it.
and therefore it keeps me from being so robotic. Yeah, you can play 100%. With a little more feeling.
Yeah.
But so basically just learning the structure and committing it to memory. It's like a puzzle. Okay, this is the intro. This is the verse goes like this. The chorus goes like this. Usually there's another verse, chorus, after that bridge, and then chorus the rest of the way out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to do Mr. Brightside? Because I always hear that request.
I haven't played that. I've played Canon though.
Yeah.
And what's the other Bruno Mars one? Famous. I know you off camera, but for stuff I can't think of it. Marry You. Yeah. But that Canon, and then it was another one you had me play one time that was like totally classical. When I played outside at the venue, I was in the bushes.
Do I know the venue?
But I was in the bushes and trees because that's where I had to plug up at. So he was cueing me on when to play certain things. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. So no green room. That was the green room that day. All of these trees and bushes is the green you got to see, buddy. Yeah. But so I played things that, classical, and I'm not really I'm more jazz, R&B, soul. But I'll learn it, and typically you're only in those instances you're not playing the whole song anyway, playing like a minute or two.
Yeah.
So we make it work.
Do you have any advice for couples looking for bands? What would you wish couples knew before they came to you and you end up answering all their questions?
Well, I think first and foremost they should have an idea what style music they want, right? Because you wouldn't come to me if you wanted country music. I like all types of music, but I don't play country music. So I think first you need to have an idea what type of music you want. If a band is playing at your reception, or just have an idea of the songs you want. And because a lot of times, and I'm sure, Famous has dealt with this, they might want you to pick the songs, like for this or for that. But no, like if it's for the wedding ceremony, know what songs you want played. And then for your reception, know what style music. I think that's first and foremost, know what style music you have, and then then put up the back signal, and then as you get recommendations in for whatever band, and most bands have a presence online, nowadays, where you can get an idea, if not YouTube, social media, what have you. So I think just couples should just know what style music you want for your reception if you're hiring a band.
Yeah, I mean that's across the board with most vendors. I mean, especially with like photography and stuff like that, even knowing like your style is super important.
Yeah, and I didn't even know until I got in the industry. So let's go over kind of our love things that DJs do and our dislike kind of like communication situation. Because when we work with new entertainment and new DJs that haven't worked with us before, they don't understand how hands-on we are. And so they come in thinking they can either ignore us, tell us they're not going to listen to us.
Wow.
Or...
And we're a whole vibe. You can't ignore us. I'm like, what is even? Well, I'm sorry. Even at the last wedding, I was like, the bus is leaving. Can you please? And I understand that bands and DJs don't want to make announcements because it kills the vibe.
Yeah, it kills the vibe.
I get
but you have to
But
protocol.
if the bus is leaving and Grandma Susie is still sitting there with her champagne glass, Grandma Susie needs to get home. She's 80.
Absolutely.
She's got to get on the bus. She's got to go.
Yeah.
And so I was like, can you make an announcement? And he like made the announcement but didn't turn the music down. And I'm like, I'm gonna punch you right in your thyroid.
At least he said it. I've had DJs just be like, ignore me.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I can't even fathom that.
I think that
like late night food. People need to know there's late night food. Like there's pizza on this table. Can you announce there's pizza on the table? And then just ignore me. I've had to go to the mom of the bride before and tell
tattletale.
Really? See, I like that. I can't, and being on that side of things as an MC with the DJ or a musician or playing with the band, you're there to accommodate the situation.
Yeah.
So whatever, you're the soundtrack to the event, so to speak. Yeah. But so if somebody asks you to make an announcement, it should be a no-brainer. Like, hey, could you turn the music? We need you to make it. You have to you're there to inform the people. It's not like they came to see you specifically. They're there for the wedding, so you got to make sure all of that protocol gets taken care of. So,
exactly.
Wow.
I mean, being a DJ, you got to MC.
Yeah.
Like, we've had DJs not MCing, give you the mic.
I had to MC one time.
Yeah.
Where not like one of the most important things where the bridal party's coming into the reception, their grand entrance, that's me, your girl.
Really?
It was like my one time.
Wow,
I'm like,
you did
I'm like.
Now, did you do you go over it in your mind before you say it?
I think I've gone to so many weddings that I just was like just playing the role. I was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen. I was like, this is what we're doing. And I after I got done, I was like, and the girls were like, yeah, you just did that. I was like, see, I don't ever want to do it again. Oh my gosh, Julia, your dog.
I know, they're like not liking listening people in the house.
It's a party going on right here. Yeah, but I always I go over it in my mind. Even though I was in a band setting Friday night, they still needed, I emceed for like a small portion before we took over while they were doing the first dance and everything like that. So I was wireless, so I'm over by the door and getting ready to, do the grand announcing of the bride and groom. But I find myself, I go over kind of what I want to say loosely in my mind.
Yeah. I didn't. I just knew. Well, I had the list of names. I had the list of names in order, and because I had spent time with them, I kind of knew like their little quirky nicknames and things like that. And I just kind of I don't know, just kind of play oh, you're gonna let them do better than you. Let's say, you know what I mean?
I got
and so it was fun, but I was literally he said, I I can't play the music and MC at the same time.
Yes, you can.
And I was like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Then why are you here?
Yeah.
So, anyways, but I did it,
Yeah.
and it was an experience.
Yeah. And I'm usually, if I have the microphone, I'm usually a little OD about the bride and groom's name too. Like, because once you start, you don't want to, like the guy who couldn't think of the name you were talking about a little while ago. Yeah. So I'm usually a little OD about that. Like, I may keep glancing at it, or even when I'm working with Famous, I off mic, what's the names again? To make sure when I'm on, and then you want to keep popping them up every little bit, because that's how you get a reaction out of, let's hear it for such a Mr. and Mrs. such and such again, stuff like that.
It's fun. I mean, another, like one of my, so dislike, we're talking about likes and dislikes of like the musicians. We love a good musician. Like we are, I feel like it's so good and creates a whole vibe.
Oh, absolutely.
But some of the things, yes, one, them taking over. Two, just not listening, not following the timeline, going rogue. That is a huge thing.
Missing?
No, like, let's say the couple doesn't want to do any games, dances.
Oh, okay, got you.
And then they're all of a sudden announcing that they're playing a game and the couple's
and they already know ahead of time?
They don't. The couple doesn't know. They're just being surprised just like we are. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Someone randomly, a DJ randomly be like, let's do like that couple's dance where all the couples come up one by one.
The anniversary dance.
The anniversary dance. But the couple didn't want that.
And they almost missed a sunset photo.
Yeah.
And he knew they didn't want it.
No.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he has the timeline.
Yeah, okay. He got the sheet and everything.
Do you see again? I was just like, I'm like, did you? And I even still do this to Travis. I'm like, did you get the timeline? And it's a habit of mine. One, because Travis is like just one of us.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget to send him the timeline. But then I'm like, did you get the timeline? And I do it to everybody because I'm like, did you see it? Did you look it over? Please don't go off script.
Yeah.
So
we had a DJ say to one of our teams, like, he's basically like, listen, sweetheart, I'm not going off your timeline. He's like, I got my own timeline.
This is appalling.
Three, sweetheart.
Wow.
Throat punch, kneecap busted.
Yeah, see, and
that's how I roll.
That's why I like hearing you guys' stories, because first of all, they're like, over the top, but I know they're true. But I look at, and even talking about DJ, MC, musician, like I can't fathom having that type of approach.
Well, it's because you were raised right. I mean,
Shout out to my parents.
I think a lot of times it's like, who raised you?
Yeah, TK Kirkland. Is that where y'all got that from? TK Kirkland? No. Okay.
I think I got it from my parents. They've always said it. So whoever, it's probably from my dad. My dad probably got it.
Yeah, but no, it's a popular say. I just noticed there's a comedian, TK Kirkland, who says it all the time in his act. But it's so true.
He's copying me.
Oh, okay.
We actually started.
Yeah, nice. I got you.
All right. Well, let's tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you.
Oh, man, there's so many things. I'll just keep it simple. You can find me on Instagram, Midas J Hard. Midas is my musical alias. J is the first letter of my first name, and Hard is the first 4 letters of my last name, which is Hardison. Midas J Hard on Instagram. You can go to Mellow Groove Soul on Instagram, or Mellow Groove on Facebook. That's Mellow Groove, all one word, no W. Follow us at thechairmanoftheboard.com, where you can check our touring schedule, and we're very busy in the Southeast. Actually, I'll be going to Tennessee Thursday, but with Tennessee, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, of course, some Georgia. Yeah, that's basically it. Find me there. If you need a musician, you need a band, you need an MC, that's where you can find me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go ahead and make a note that you probably hear dogs throughout this episode.
Yes.
So sorry. Peanut Butter wasn't doing it today. They're very active.
They wanted to be a guest.
They want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
You got to see them on this building at some point.
Yeah.
And we have the long lost answer of who let the dogs out.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to the Baja Men.
And you can follow us on jujuleeevents.com/follow. You can go down the rabbit hole of Juju Lee there. Yeah. And make sure that you follow and subscribe to us on YouTube, like and comment, show us some love, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye guys, thank you.
See ya.